Welcome to Wire, the show all about the MyRacehorse stable, a stable that can be yours. We are coming to you from the TVG studios in Los Angeles. I'm Christina Blacker, joined by the Sarge, Nick Hines, and we hope you had a wonderful holiday season, a very happy new year. Sarge, we had the chance to have one show in the books prior to turning the calendar into 2022. I think it was very well received. Everyone seemed happy with the show.
No, absolutely. A tremendous inaugural show that we had to close out to 2021, and a successful one at that with MyRacehorse. And of course, we're always looking for the game changer, that next level opportunity. But a wonderful 2021. It's great to be into 2022. And I will say this, that MyRacehorse off to a big start already. We're looking for those bigger results. MyRacehorse
started strong. When we left you in December, we were able to take a look at some recent wins. We have even more to add to the tally today. So let's get right into it. Let's relive a few of those victories as we turned the calendar into 2022. Quick Conversation is going to be the first horse that we take a look at here. Sarge, Christophe Clement, the trainer of this daughter of Frosted. She may be Kentucky bred, but she is a Florida girl. She loves Tampa.
Well, she certainly does. She stepped up here with a nice victory in career start to number 5, earning a 70 Beyer speed figure. And daughter of Frosted, as you alluded to, out of the Distorted Humor mare, Girlfriend. Congratulations to the over 1,120 partners on Quick Conversation. So it did take some time for her to kind of find that best stride, but she's matured nicely. She's now a newly turned 4-year-old, and I've always been a big fan. She's a bit high strung, but she's leveled off nicely, and incidentally heading over to Turfway Park to take that next step.
Can't wait to see her back in action once again very, very soon. The next winner we want to relive is Lady Valentine. Here is a daughter of Into Mischief, a gate-to-wire score at Parks towards the end of 2021, and she was tenacious with this win, wearing down the pace setter.
Well, she was. The one thing you can appreciate is that she found her friends in this particular race. You look at her career mark. She had 6 starts. Her 6th coming in. This was cap and gown time for this daughter of Into Mischief. She is now a newly turned 4-year-old out of that hard-spun mare, My Lady Lauren. And congratulations to over 3,800 partners on this one. And she has certainly been one of the favorites in the group at MyRacehorse. She has transitioned now, as she was recently sold at the All Horses of Racing Aid sale there at Keeneland. So she'll go on to bigger and better things. Hopefully for her, we wish her the best of luck on behalf of all of us at MyRacehorse.
Todd Pletcher has had quite a bit of success for MyRacehorse this month. We're going to jump into one of the recent victories from the Todd Pletcher stables. Provocateur, 2 starts back for her. We're going to talk a little bit more We're going to talk a little bit more about this colt throughout the show. But this was a dominant victory by 4.5 lengths.
Well, certainly a horse that stepped up in the anticipation for a son of Into Mischief. And this horse, of course, a kin to a one-liner who had quite the career for Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher. Yes, Hall of Fame trainer Todd Pletcher, one-liner, a Grade 3 winner in his own right. So the hope is that Provocateur, who earned a 75 Beyer speed figure for this victory, would have that opportunity to step up in a partnership, of course, with Spendthrift. Excited about Provocateur. And over 5,000 unique partners in on Provocateur. So this was a big step up for him in career start number 3. Bigger and better. Props to Todd Pletcher, and a nice ride from Antonio Gallardo.
Lots of you out there celebrating that victory with Provocateur. Let's stick with the Pletcher barn. Another winner from Todd Pletcher's barn with regard to MyRacehorse. And this was a debut victory at Gulfstream Park by Ironworks.
Now, this was a serious effort, Christina, and certainly you talk trail, but I don't want to kind of put the taboo, but I certainly smell some big things ahead for Ironworks, who stepped up on debut here. He was bet down to 6-5. That's the MyRacehorse in full effect at the proverbial betting window. In excess of 2,000 partners on Ironworks. He earned a pretty snazzy 79 Beyer speed rating. He beat a quality field by Distorted Humor out of that Indian Charlie mare, Silver Pockets Full. Big effort. Also in a partnership with Spendthrift. Congratulations to Ironworks and the connections.
I always love seeing that first click of the tote board. You know that the MyRacehorse owners are out there in support and definitely behind their horses at the windows as well. One more victory to take a look at, and this is Chasing Time. Steve Asmussen, the Hall of Famer, trains this son of Not This Time, and this was really the key, Sarge, was getting to the 2 turns for Chasing Time.
Well, Chasing Time, a horse that, had kind of tipped his mitt and given indication that the talent level was there. Earned an 82 Beyer speed figure, and at the end of the day, there were over 3,800 partners that were celebrating across the globe, if you will. It's not just here on U.S. soil, but it was a fantastic victory, and certainly a horse that has the world ahead of him. He's the son of Not This Time out of the Dixie Union mare Race Hunter, and Steve Asmussen and his team. They've been high on him from the get-go, but the one thing that they were looking forward to was potentially getting this horse to go the distance of ground. So big victory, chasing time, big things ahead.
I've noticed just over the last several years, listening to Steve Asmussen talk about his horses, not only does he talk about their physical development, but their mental development. He always has a plan, and so sky's the limit. Only improvements to come with Chasing Time. Looking forward to seeing him back on track very, very soon once more. Okay, back to Provocateur. I mentioned that we might talk about this horse a little bit more. That victory that you saw was 2 races back on his resume. On quick turnaround and quick rest, Sarge, he came back against stakes competition and a very nice effort in the Pasco.
Yeah, this certainly not an easy thing to do with a newly transitioned 3-year-old to come back in 3 weeks. In particular, when you look at the spacing of his races, October 10th, November 6th, December 23rd, an ultra game effort here. And, you know, the other point being is that this horse was going the distance of 7 furlongs for the very first time. Mark Hamanian was coming off of a victory in his own right at Gulfstream, going 6.5. So when you go that elongated to the 7/8 of a mile, it can prove daunting, that last 1/8 of a mile, as you could surmise. But he certainly proved that he's of the caliber, of the ilk, earned a 77 Beyer speed figure, and now stakes placed. We saw, obviously, what his brother had done, one-liner, greatest stakes winner. Likely will keep him relegated to the one turn, perhaps a little more spacing going forward. Provocateur, this horse hasn't missed a beat since going to training with Todd Pletcher. Nicely done there for the team, getting that black type.
Plenty of nice one-turn races to look forward to, especially out there in New York with those one-turn miles at Belmont Park. All right, so you have to practice the way you want to play, right? We've taken a look back at some of the recent victories. Let's take a look at some of the horses that are training in the mornings and how they are coming into their next efforts. We want to highlight our work of the month, and this comes to you from Forbidden Kingdom in the Richard Mandela barn. This is a son of American Pharoah. You're looking at a very recent work, January the 10th at Santa Anita, 6 furlongs, 112 and 2.
Well, things getting serious for the son of American Pharoah. Already great at stakes place. Broke his maiden at Del Mar back in August, and you know he's had some issues with his feet. He's had a couple of quarter crack issues. I believe the glue-on shoes were employed, and since they've been implemented into his training, Forbidden Kingdom has been spot on. He's a picture of health in the mornings. It seems as if he's relaxed a bit more than he had right there in the midst of his 2-year-old year. But this son of American Pharoah added that to 5-star daymare Just Louise being pointed for the San Vicente. So let's hope that he can begin 2022 on a high note. And this is a horse that you know we've been high on from the get-go, also in a partnership with Spendthrift, and the sky's the limit. It's just a matter of being able to execute and staying sound and keeping those feet right. So get him a pair of Air Jordans if all else fails.
Right. From your experience, Sarge, just not only with MyRacehorse, but also training here in Southern California and watching Richard Mandela and his methods, what are you seeing from how Richard is approaching this horse and what we might see just in terms of his development?
Well, I think it really comes down to the mental game. And when you tie in the mental game with the fact that he has some underlying, imagine yourself, if for example, your feet are sore, first thing that you're going to do is you're going to be like a cat on a hot tin roof. But mentally, he's actually exhaled and enabled this horse to do so. But if there were any trainer, if you talk about foot fetishes, Richard Mandela is the king. You look back at the old man, the Tin Man back in the day, he was 9 years of age, and just keeping a nice pedicure, manicure, keeping him isolated to that. The fact that this horse has flourished physically, and while he continues to develop mentally, I think Papa Mandela certainly has his number. And again, props to his team, including son Gary Mandela. It's just about being patient, letting the horse come to you. This horse hasn't really missed a beat outside of a few little blips with those feet based on the fact that he needed a little additional time. But he's training splendid at the moment. Nice
works from Forbidden Kingdom. We'll keep an eye from the Hall of Famer Richard Mandela's barn. Back east, we have some exciting horses coming to the Chad Brown barn. The Chad Brown bundle. This is some exciting news that MyRacehorse just announced in the last couple of days. You might be watching these segments a little bit further down in the month, but you want to research and get involved in the Chad Brown bundle. Take a look at these horses that are now available.
MyRacehorse presents, in collaboration with Chad Brown, 4-time Eclipse winner and highest earning trainer 4 of the last 5 years, the Chad Brown Bundle. For this American Feral Colt from the family of Justify, greatness is a birthright. He is 3 jewels. Handpicked for success by the group who brought you Aunt Pearl, she is Splashdown 20. A jaw-dropping filly from one of the final crops of Malibu Moon. The racetrack is her battleground. She is Night Combat. 3 great talents, 1 world-class trainer, 1 great price. MyRacehorse, where excitement comes in threes.
So $234 per share, and that gets you access to all 3 of these horses. Nick, 2 of them picked up at Keeneland and 1 all the way overseas at Tattersall's in England.
Oh, absolutely. Splashdown 20, soon to be named, that not being her name, but out of that mare and plenty of productivity by Oasis Dream, who is a world phenom in the stallion ranks. But the one thing that stands out in my mind, you have an opportunity based on a $240 bill to get involved with Chad Brown. Chad Brown, what is he, 25% career, 2,100 wins in a career, 33% in 2022. Not the fact that his earners, $26,000 per start in a career that is just essentially getting started. Chad Brown. I will say this about this opportunity, Christina. I had a highfalutin client last year that had a horse that he paid 6 figures for. Wanted Chad Brown to train the horse. Had no room. Oh. And in this case, you have an opportunity. This is like an exclusive club. This is like the country club that you'd always wish for. And the one thing about Chad Brown, he is active on social media. He is one of the best as far as responding. Just he's here for the good times. Excited about MyRacehorse. And I think when you have a trainer, much as we've found with our other Hall of Fame type trainers, they enjoy the process. So looking forward to Chad Brown being part of this group. This is an exclusive. This is big time. This is next level. Looking forward to it with a 3-pack.
I'm glad we got the chance to talk about it on the show this month, because this actually just became available in the last few days. So head to the app or to the website if you'd like to get involved in the Chad Brown bundle. We've talked a lot about Hall of Fame horsemen. Chad Brown will be in the Hall of Fame the first year he is eligible. He is going to be on that list very, very soon. So good luck to everyone that does get involved and become an owner with the Chad Brown bundle. We relived a few of the exciting wins just from this month and last month from December as well. But let's take a look back at the entire 2021 season and the year with MyRacehorse and how these horses brought us all together.
Moonlight Doro striding clear past the 16th pole. And got Stormy, these 2 photo finish.
One of racing's all-time greats, yet another display of excellence. Monomoy Girl wins the Bayakoa.
Tis the Magician and Flavian Pratt.
And his class came through in the end. Tis a Magician and Flavian Pratt. But Got Stormy has won the Grade 1 4-star Dave handicap. Forbidden Kingdom, the more they asked, the more he gave, and Forbidden Kingdom wins.
Vertical Threat and Florangeroux all the way in the Russell Road.
Going to Vegas, and Flavian Pratt have taken the John C. maybe.
Going to Vegas, Luck. Going to Vegas. Going to Vegas all the way in the Rodeo Drive. But it's all Lane Way. Lane Way dominates.
And Duke of Love, very professional win. Debuts with a victory by a length and 3/4.
And it's a sweep of the double for Luis Saez. He wins aboard Amore.
But quick conversation, the big favorite, a 1-5, going to win it here 3/4 of a length.
Lady Valentine is almost there inside the final 16th. Lady Valentine has done enough and gets the victory.
We know there was a favorite moment for each and every one of you in that story and in that piece, so hopefully you enjoyed a wonderful 2021 with My Racehorse. If you're new, there will be lots of memories to be made in 2022, and perhaps in the next couple of weeks. We have some upcoming runners that we wanted to tell you about. Mark your calendars, mark it in pencil, as I always say, because you never know how things shake out with horses, with the racing office, with how these races do come together. But as of right now, Nick, these are the plans for some upcoming runners.
Yeah, we certainly try and hold these dates closely as we can to fulfill our calendars, but as you well know, getting races to go on specific dates, sometimes at the mercy of whether or not you get enough horses to subscribe. But nice list here, which includes Dancing Crane, Edge Racing, an affiliate of My Racehorse, of course, with capital accredited investors there. Joe Moran, the racing manager, also our Southern California West Coast racing manager here and liaison for My Racehorse. But the exciting list, indeed. Collusion, Illusion, a horse that you'll touch on as well, heading to Hot Springs for the King Cotton. And then, of course, the exclamation point at the end of the month. Let's hope it's that guy, Forbidden Kingdom. I know I'm excited. I hope you are out there as well. This looks like another wonderful opportunity. We've already started 2022 on a winning note. There was some exciting 3-year-olds indeed.
We will keep you updated on the app with all of those horses, where they're planning to run. If those plans change, those updates will be available to you each and every day as you check your app. Last month, we told you the story of Solar Strike, talking about aftercare and talking about these racehorses, where they may go for their second careers and what might be next for them. We have the story today on a horse by the name of Big Mel. Dr. Burke has been so informative on the My Racehorse app over the last several months and years. Here he is today to tell us the story of Big Mel.
This is Big Mel. He's a 4-year-old colt by Quality Road, and he's a very well-bred horse and began as expected, a very nice racing prospect, was very highly regarded by the trainer as he went into early training. Unfortunately, he's an example of a horse that, although in spite of his talent, had some issues that he was unable to overcome. And so it's a good illustration of what happens when horses go into early training and what their body is doing. Very similar to what happens when people go into training. There's a process that occurs where pressure's being put on the bone, and there's a sort of micro damage to the bone that is a normal part of the training process that encourages the bone to strengthen in the areas where it's necessary. And under ideal circumstances, that process is a balanced process. So a horse trains a little bit, they sustain that stimulus to build more bone, and they do, and that process continues as they continue to train and strengthen. What happens sometimes is that, and it's not necessarily the fault of the trainer or anyone's fault, but when that process, when the rebuilding of bone process does not keep up, then the horse is subject to some bone damage that will then potentially lead to lameness. What we're talking about is a condition that evolves over time with training. So there would never be an instance where you would be able to tell in advance whether a horse was going to be susceptible to this kind of an injury or not. And so there's a very common syndrome called palmar metacarpal disease. And I know that's let me break down that terminology for you. The word palmar means the back area of a bone. Metacarpal is what we call the cannon bone, or the long bone that goes down from the knee to the ankle. So it's the back of that bone, those condyles is the back of the bone where it attaches into the ankle, can get bruised. That's an area of common injury, I'll say bone injury, and in its early stages, it's mild. Essentially the treatment for that, when these horses are diagnosed as having that kind of an injury, they get 60 to 90 days off, and the average case will respond to that. And some horses just seem to be unable to build the bone integrity that's necessary to deal with those stresses. And so in his case, he had exactly that. He was diagnosed properly. He got the appropriate amount of time off, has gone back into training, and the condition has resurfaced. And so at some point, it's appropriate to make the decision on an individual horse as to whether that horse is going to respond to therapy or whether the rigors of training and racing are going to be excessive for that particular individual's bone. It's an unfortunate conversation to have about horses, but one thing to keep in mind is that essentially, no matter how long or successful a horse's racing career is, this conversation is always had on every horse. Even on a champion, there comes a time when it's no longer appropriate to race that horse. In Big Mel's case, it was the appropriate decision to just acknowledge that that bone bruising is something that's going to be a feature of him and that he's unable to overcome it for racing purposes. These horses can race up to 3, 4, 5, 6 years old or more, but they typically live to 20 or be into their 20s. And so essentially, we're responsible for them even after they've stopped racing. And so these aftercare organizations take these horses and train them to do something else. So the way this horse is bred and conformed, he's definitely an athlete. This horse might have a brilliant career in a second career, such as a show horse, a jumper, an eventer. I mean, there's any number of athletic activities that these horses can do. And it'll be interesting to follow him. And he most certainly, like all of them, deserved that second chance. So I think in spite of the disappointment that everyone feels that he's not able to have a successful racing career, he is likely to have a career, and it's something that we can all follow, and hopefully we'll be looking at him winning something else other than a thoroughbred race.
I have such an appreciation for Dr. Burke. I wish we could have him on TVG every week just to explain any types of conditions. Very thorough, very helpful. And in the case of Big Mel, a good example as to how some horses are retired without necessarily a major injury. Big Mel is at New Vocations now, which is an aftercare organization. They help with retraining horses as well. And you can actually head out to visit him if you'd like to. We have some photos from the most recent tour back on January the 15th, where some of the MyRacehorse owners were able to visit him and see how he's doing up close and personal.
Well, he's certainly been a fan favorite, a partner favorite, a very personable individual, son of Quality Road out of that Hennessy mare, Emma Darling. And, you know, the hopes that his career would evolve certainly plenty of talent. It wasn't due to a lack of talent, but can so much appreciate what Dr. Burke provides for the program. Of course, not only just in essentially giving us a diagnosis, prognosis, but in addition to the fact that he does all the sales work for MyRacehorse. So Big Mel, he's a picture of, he's a happy customer. And, you know, it's heartwarming to see the soft landing, and that's one thing that our CEO and founder, Michael Behrens, that was one of the first conversations we had when we sat down talking MyRacehorse along with Joe Mishak, and it was, hey, what do we do with these horses when they're done? And the light went on, find that landing, and as you can see, Big Mel certainly still has his fans. Just a real personable individual. You know, not all horses essentially work their way over to the other side as easily as we've found out here in California, for example, with Lava Man, a California champion multiple times over for trainer Doug O'Neill. They turned him out, essentially kind of gave him the farm life. He wasn't happy. They had to bring him back to the track, and he became a pony and, of course, AKA coach. But I think in Big Mel's case, there's no doubt in my mind that his next career is going to be a successful one. So props to all involved, and, of course, Spendthrift, who originally had purchased him for a pretty hefty sum. But although the road ended as a racehorse, it just began with a new afterlife, if you will, with Big Mel.
We'll keep an eye on what is next for Big Mel and be sure to update you. In terms of other updates, we wanted to pick a stable star of the month, or a horse that we're looking forward to. And Sarge, you want to talk about Storm Shooter, the son of Twirling Candy. He comes off a 6th place effort last out in New York. What do you want to tell us about this horse?
Well,
I was a little curious when I saw who you chose.
It's a fine line when you talk star, but he is a stakes place, the son of Twirling Candy. He's had 6 starts thus far in his career. He was making a comeback, and just kind of the run-of-the-mill state-bred entry-level allowance for trainer Rob Atras there on January 14th. You know, the MyRacehorse proverbial window in full effect. It was part of an entry here with stablemate Deep Cover, who was trying dirt for the first time off of that turf victory on debut. But if you watch Storm Shooter, and let me essentially kind of set the tone here. In speaking to Rob Atras going in, the question was, is he ready? Is he tight? Is he fit? The horse had not raced since back in February of 2021. The word verbatim, I wish I could have gotten a little more foundation into him due to inclement weather and not having the ability to train him on a consistent basis. I feel as if he's going to benefit greatly from this race. So at this stage of the game, you're saying to yourself, watching the race, saying, Storm Shooter, where are you going? You're going the wrong direction. Was backing out of it. At this stage of the game, you could have predicted that perhaps he would finish last. But pay close attention to what Storm Shooter does here. He's going to pick things up, I thought, quite considerably as they make an approach to the stretch. And knowing what Rob had said going into the race, knowing the fact that you had a 33-track variant, it was a deep track this day at Aqueduct. So for him, if you look at the flow of the race, it wasn't a race that was overly enthusiastic for the deep closer. Now, the mid-turnal fractions in the end kind of determined that a horse could win from off it, but look at Storm Shooter being to the wire there under Kendrick Carmouche. Yeah, I'm excited about this horse. I'll tell you, when you talk about betting and horse playing and gambling or whatnot, this is a horse that, regardless of the MyRacehorse stamp, he is on my stable alert. So for those partners out there involved with Storm Shooter, just take it easy at the window. Give me an opportunity to make a few bucks. But you have to think exotically, Christina. You got to think doubles, exactas, trifectas, and perhaps maybe a pick six key. But the good news is Rob had mentioned and, of course, reported after the horse came back in good order. He got so much out of this race. This is as good as 3 works. We were going to have a little segment regarding gallop outs. If you go back and look closely at his gallop out, solid. Storm Shooter, hey, buddy, don't let me down next time. But he's definitely a horse that I'm looking forward to.
Stable spotlight there with Storm Shooter. Everybody will be looking forward to what he does next, and certainly beneficial to have that race under his belt as a tightener to move forward. I am looking forward to seeing Collusion Illusion back on the racetrack, not only as a stable spotlight here on the show, but just as a fan here in Southern California. So Collusion Illusion, I know it's been a little bit disappointing. You didn't get to see him compete in the Breeders' Cup. He's battled some foot issues, a quarter crack not that long ago, but he is on the return right now. He's a multiple Grade 1 winner already. We know this horse has a strong resume, and he's been training well for Mark Latt in the mornings. We have a work here on January the 10th, 5 furlongs and 59 and 3. He's actually going to catch some unexpected company. He's along the inside. There's going to be 5 horses involved here. But take a look at Collusion Illusion. This will catch the bullet, meaning it was the fastest work of the morning at the distance. Best of 72 horses that went 5 furlongs on January the 10th, and I'm looking forward to seeing Collusion Illusion come back very, very soon. Sarge, the plan right now is to head to Ocala with him for the King Cotton.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for Collusion Illusion, the winner of the Grade 1 Bing Crosby in 2020. Unfortunately, it's been kind of 1 step forward and 2 steps back. You mentioned the quarter cracks. It seems as if there's an underlying theme. We mentioned Forbidden Kingdom earlier, but at this stage of the game, Collusion Illusion having the opportunity to run on Lasix and the King Cotton at Ocala is key. It was a very subtle bleeding incident. When you think a horse bled, you're like, wow, did they bleed out the nostrils? Sometimes horses can bleed so minimally, but others will run through it, others won't. But in Collusion Illusion's case, that was a great work there, I thought, for him, perhaps a wake-up call. So look forward to seeing him take his game on the road, the son of Twirling Candy. So got a couple of spotlights on the Twirling Candies. Let's hope they certainly deliver in their next start. So a horse that's earned nearly $500,000. I think this is an opportunity for him to put up or shut up. So Collusion Illusion, get it done there at Ocala.
A challenge for Collusion Illusion and Storm Shooter. That race January 29th, the King Cotton at Ocala, and we will have it for you on TVG if you want to keep an eye on the racing. Okay, time now to answer our question of the month. Sarge alluded to it just a few seconds ago. What is a good, strong gallop out? We want to know, and we want to tell you, if you are unaware, what this means. You'll hear folks talk about it quite a bit when they're handicapping, when they're watching replays, when you're watching the live racing coverage as well. Our example is going to be Going to Vegas. This is just one of my favorites. I love her. Sarge, I know I've talked about it a lot. She rattled off 3 consecutive victories, including this win in the Grade 1 Rodeo Drive, where she was able to hold off her stablemate Luck. And not only does she gallop out strongly, the top 2 really do, she never lets Luck go by all the way around the turn. She just is all heart, this mare.
Well, being a native Las Vegan myself, who doesn't love Vegas? And indeed, she has that big following. And this was a natural hat trick for her coming off of that Grade 2 victory that John Mabey. But when you think strong gallop out, as a former trainer, I know you've had dinner conversations, breakfast chats, and coffee clutches, of course, probably not only talking to your husband, Dan, but in reference to just conversation. So when you look at her gallop out, you alluded to the fact that she never gave up. In fact, if you look at the field, if you had an opportunity to pan out to the field, she was 6 lengths clear at that time. When you consider a strong gallop out, first thing that comes to mind for me as a former trainer is a horse that wants more. Maybe a horse that wants more distance or a horse that had more to give. Some individual horses, they like to get in a little bit of a fight. She's proven that she's ultra game. She's just not a pop and stop, and I have to have things my own way or I'm going to go home. The other point being is that you're talking not only about a horse that is that, but a horse that's fit. Horse that's fit, that can have enough air to carry on to that next level. But when you also look for strong gallop outs in the mornings, when you're clocking and training horses and trying to get them to the point in which they're fit, when horses get to the peak of their heart rate with 260 beats per minute, you're trying to get it to recover in 2 minutes time to half that. So when you're looking at that gallop out, that's the indicator of fitness. When a horse has a big gallop out in the mornings, generally a sign of fitness, but I think the other underlying denominator, a horse that's sound. A horse that's sound, that their feet aren't bothering, their bodies are healthy, and they're moving with great fluidity. But of course, you've been around horses, Christina, like human beings. They clock in, they clock out. As soon as they clock out, they're done.
Right.
They just, whether you work at TVG or wherever you may be, when you clock out. But us horse racing people are on all the time. But I'd say in a horse presence is that you see older horses, in particular sprinters, once they hit the wire, they're done for the day.
They know when it's,
right.
They know it's time to kind of shut down. So you can keep an eye for a strong gallop out, again, not only in the races in the afternoons, but those works in the morning as you're watching your horses train, coming up to their next races, maybe coming up to their debut race. You want to keep an eye on that. We'll give you an indication of their fitness and how they are doing. If they are thriving in the mornings, generally that will translate to the afternoons. One more event that we wanted to tell you about and mark your calendars for. We've talked to you about some upcoming races, but we have an event coming your way on February the 5th in Florida, in Ocala. So the 2-year-old sales season will start right through March, April, May, June. It's going to be a very, very busy season. If you are curious as to how this all kind of comes together and how it goes down and how the young horses that you might already own are training into the fact that they might be entering your trainer's barn very, very soon, make your way to Ocala, Florida on February the 5th. There will be an entire morning and events dedicated to this day. Refreshments with your trainers early to kind of get the day started. A tour behind the scenes at OBS. I've actually never done this myself, Sarge. I'm curious. I would like to go see and just see the tour. And then head up into the grandstand to watch your horses train before having a nice lunch and wrapping up the day.
Well, I think this is, whether or not you're involved at the moment with My Racehorse, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of get to know the process, if you will, which for me, the one thing I can say above all, we mentioned the Chad Brown trio that are going to Chad Brown. You talk about buying a concert ticket, for example, and I've mentioned this on the live shows before. You pay $1,000 for a ticket, and you can take your cell phone and take that memory or whatnot with you. But the reality is when you are coming in with, say, for example, a Chad Brown bundle at a $240 bill, this is a memory that you can't put into perspective, into words. Again, being exclusive is one, but I think that in this regard, getting to know the other partners as you celebrate, and you get to see that process from tip to tail, as we've done with sales, with yearling sales, the 2-year-old and training sales and whatnot. No better place than Central Florida this time of year. So if you haven't already signed up, I would highly suggest you get and reach out to myracehorse.com and make that fantasy a reality.
Some of the horses that will be training, just if you're curious, the plan is Rosie's Alibi, Classic Cut, Who Runs the World, Balletic, Tufnell, among others, and many more on that event. February the 5th in Ocala. Head to the app, head to the website if you would like to sign up and get involved. That's going to do it for us here on our first show of 2022 for Wire to Wire. Good luck at the races with those My Racehorse runners. Don't forget about the Chad Brown bundle, which is available right now. And if you're new to us and if you're just curious, download the app and find out a little bit more. For the Sarge, Nick Hines, I'm Christina Blacker. We will see you next month here from the TVG studios on Wire to Wire.